Link down below to credit the website that gave me the information that I'm going to share with you in a moment. This is why I love making videos like this, not just about the video games, talking about the business, the rumors, the drama that has to do with ATW. All things wrestling. I don't get distracted by Triple H trying to give me a pedigree. I can just look into the camera and just stay calm, focused, and let my ADHD brain fire off 120 miles an hour while I flap my gums, practically almost just as fast. Okay, let's just get into it. Vincent Kennedy McMahon has been reported to be able to oversee anything Triple H decides to do from a creative standpoint. That's what most people are not surprised by. However, you may be surprised to find out that come the actual merge with Endeavor, McMahon just may not have as much of a say as you may think he does. But again, only time will tell, and even judging by his body language, even though I never finished high school, barely finished junior high school, I'm definitely no psychoanalyst, looking at the body language and how Vince spoke, I do potentially give him the benefit of the doubt that he was serious when he said creatively on the big end of things, sure, but in the weeds, no, I can't do that. Just like his whole present. And I get it. He's full of shit. Okay, great. Okay? We're just going to have to see how it plays out. But what's confusing and interesting is it's been said, and we all know this now, that the atmosphere behind Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania was pretty poor in terms of the morale. Some people are supposedly calling for their release, or they're just kind of shaking in their boots, because as much as many of us, including myself, love Vince and for what he's done for the business as a whole, when you take all that into consideration for some decades, it's great. But yeah, creatively, as far back as my memory can take me, well, no, actually, it could take me pretty far. In the last bit of his life, creatively, he has sucked. And Triple H has proven to be far superior because he actually listens to the fans and seems to make a lot better choices that are what's really best for business. Okay? And then on SmackDown, Triple H comes out, gives a little speech. Are you ready to play the game? Just that whole thing. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe I'm a Mark, even though my name's Phil. I'm a Phil, not a Mark. It seemed like there were only a few minor tweaks that McMahon made remotely from a discrete location. Okay? And people weren't shaking in their boots on SmackDown. So what's confusing with this whole thing is it looks like McMahon is choosing, oh, it's the Raw. After Mania, I gotta get in there. And then when it's SmackDown, fuck that B show. Triple H can have that. Like, that was terrible. That wasn't supposed to be an impression, by the way. That's the confusing part. Is if you're McMahon, why would you... No. No. And then there were rumors that at the last minute at WrestleMania 39, that Vince flipped the script and made it so that Cody Rhodes would lose to Roman Reigns. Well, that was always in the works, and that apparently now has been reported by a lot of people behind the scenes. It was always the plan for Cody to lose and make him look stronger and drag out that story even longer. Same thing with on Raw again. That whole Lesnar turning on Rhodes, not the doing of McMahon, according to several insider reports. Again, all of this has to be taken with a grain of salt. This is what's great about these speculations and all that. But that's what's been going around, is that he's going to be taking on, Cody Rhodes that is, Lesnar, and that's going to be his next obstacle in the way on his route to Reigns once again. Whether it's Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, I don't know. WrestleMania, I feel like that's the grandest stage. It's the Super Bowl of wrestling shows. And I don't know why you would want to have it at Money in the Bank. Like if you were to actually have Reigns lose. It's a little bit confusing. SummerSlam, some wild stuff can happen at SummerSlam. I could see that. SummerSlam is a pretty big event. Not as big as Mania, but still you can have big things happen at SummerSlam. So that we don't know what's going to happen. But again, the Mania thing with Cody losing, Lesnar turning on Cody, that was not the work of Vince. So sometimes it can be hard. Well, what did he do? What didn't he do? But yeah, it seemed like overall Raw was just like not good in terms of the backstage morale. Again, people supposedly almost wondering if they should leave. And then with Triple H having called back people that Vince had fired, if Vince really has the final say and he decides, you know what, no, you're gone again. And then for what? For this to happen? And then for just Triple H to keep bringing... Like, I just feel like there's a lot of back and forth, and it's very confusing. But to finish off with this, you probably read this before I even had a chance to read this to you. Vince McMahon is no longer the majority. So while Vince McMahon was able to force his way back onto WWE with his influence, that won't be the case after the Endeavor deal goes through. And again, when McMahon, during that interview that I shared, spoke about being not in the weeds, but being a part of big things creatively, he said once the merge occurs, that's when that would happen. So it's kind of like, until then, is Vince just having as much fun as he can have until it's merged, because he knows deep down inside that this is what was going to happen. I mean, don't forget, it was reported by Vince himself, if he's not full of shit, he was willing to walk away from this whole thing. It's Ari, the guy from Endeavor, I forget his name now, that was like, no, you got to stick around. I want you around. So Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics reports that McMahon will hold only 18% of the voting control over decisions in the TKO company. Stephanie McMahon, who resigned after Vince's return in January, will hold a 1.2% of the shares / voting control. Linda McMahon, 0.4%. We can all laugh. You and I are holding 0% of the shares in voting control. Shareholders who have been with WWE from before the Endeavor deal will make up 28.9% of the voting control over TKO. And of course, the majority of the voting control will be held by former Endeavor shareholders, who will control 51%. But again, it's to be noted that apparently Ari wants nothing to do creatively with WWE. He doesn't want to get in there and start playing chess. Okay? But yeah, like the old saying goes, only time will tell. But in the meantime, it is fun to kind of speculate as to what things may happen, what has happened, and then try to get evidence to help support why we feel the way that we do. So, again, the word on the street is he had a big control on the Monday Night Raw following Mania. Very, very little changes in the script to SmackDown. And again, the whole Lesnar thing and Cody losing, supposedly that had absolutely nothing to do with McMahon. That was already in the works before he came back. Let me know down below in the comments section what you think. I always enjoy to see what other people's takes are. I do the same thing with politics. I'm not one of those people, because I have a politics channel, right? I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, you're for Trump, you're against Trump, I'm going to block you or whatever. I've met people like that, and unfortunately my Twitter, which by the way is the best place to get a hold of me, just don't get alarmed if you see some political shit. I've slowed down a little bit because I'm trying to focus more on wrestling, because I find this more fun for me, right? There's, yes, yelling and FUs and all that kind of stuff, like on the Twitter wars with politics. But again, I always give people a voice. I don't give a rat's ass what side of the fence you're on. I really don't. Everybody's allowed to feel a certain way about anything, whether it's wrestling, politics, anything. And I always like to give people a chance to share what they think and try to see where they're coming from, even if you don't agree with them, right? Just letting them speak their piece, and then in return, you hopes to get the same respect enough for them to allow you to speak. And then do that whole agree to disagree, and then move on. There's no need to powerbomb or DDT each other in real life. I mean, even though that would be safer than shooting each other. But anyhow, I want to get into that stuff. Again, that's for my other channel. Very nasty politics. It's very divisive. It's not a lot of fun. And you have to background check even more than you do with frickin' wrestling. At least here you could be wrong on your take and people aren't going to shit on you as hard as if you're wrong or people don't like your take when it has to do with politics. That shit is like, wow. That is like nuclear, okay, on social media. I still enjoy it, but I'm not going to be in the weeds of it as much, haha, anymore, as I want to focus on this. So let me know, like I said, down below what you think. And if you like the video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. It does greatly help support the channel with the algorithm. And if I didn't mention this in the beginning, which I think I did, there's a link. I just smacked my finger on the desk, on my nail. There's a link for this article down below to credit, again, the website where I got this information from. And if you didn't like the video, well, go ahead, give it a thumbs down. And I'll make sure you get a little bit of this.
I'll do it. I will eat your ass.
If you want to subscribe to the channel, naturally that would be great. But if not, thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care, and maybe I'll see some of you in the next one. Bye for now.